On Global TV News Express, Academic Staff Union of Universities joins NLC and TUC nationwide strike as industrial action heats up. Attorney General of the Federation tackles labor as strike takes toll on essential services. On the foreign scene, Mexico elects Claudia Sheinbaum as first woman president. In sport, towards World Cup qualifiers, Super Eagles begin training in Uyo as camp swells. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television. We are live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. Protesting workers under the aegis of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have shut down government building at the Federal Secretariat in response to the ongoing industrial action against minimum wage. Our correspondent Edika Michael observed that the areas were deserted as workers decided to stay back home. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has announced the complete shutdown of Nigeria's power grid by labor unions as the strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress begins. The organized labor started a nationwide industrial action in protest against the 60,000 naira minimum wage proposed by the federal government. TCN spokesperson Ndidi Mba stated that the action was deliberately done by the workers. Meanwhile, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi has faulted the organized labor over the nationwide strike. Fagbemi, in a letter to the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress leaders, insisted that the strike over the new minimum is a violation of the subsisting National Industrial Court order restraining the unions from grounding the nation through the strike action. The organized labor has shut down all entry points of aviation agencies at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, and the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja to press home their demands for the implementation of a new national minimum wage. This action has affected flight operations at the nation's busiest airport as airlines and passengers were left stranded at the airport entrances. This is coming barely 24 hours after the aviation unions directed its members to withdraw services across airports in Nigeria. In compliance with the directive of the organized labor to embark on an indefinite strike, the aviation unions in Nigeria have directed their members to withdraw services at all the country's airports. This was contained in a statement jointly signed by the unions after an emergency meeting in Abuja. The directive comes as all affiliates of both the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, commenced mobilization to ensure the strike was successful. In the country's southwest, leaders and members of the Lagos State chapter of the Nigerian Labour Congress have shut the gate of the Lagos State Secretariat, Alausa Ikeja, cordoning off the entire premises from workers gaining access. The action is in compliance with the directive of the national body of the NLC over failure to implement the minimum wage. The strike action gained momentum as the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has joined the ongoing strike by the organized labor, comprising Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress. This is coming after the federal government failed to meet the union's minimum wage demand. In a statement addressed to the branch chairpersons and zonal coordinators of ASU, the association's president, Emmanuel Osodeke, directed lecturers in universities across the country to join the strike as an affiliate of the Congress. As the organized labor declared an indefinite nationwide strike due to the federal government's refusal to increase its new minimum wage offer above 60,000 naira, healthcare workers under the aegis of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives and the joint health sector unions rendered skeletal services in Abuja hospitals. The president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, announced that the strike followed failed negotiations between the government and organized labor and its refusal to reverse the withdrawal of the power sector subsidy and increase in electricity tariff. And still in the news, the head of the Nigerian National Office, West African Examination Council, Amos Dangote, has appealed for the exemption from the strike embarked upon by the organized labor to enable the council to conduct the ongoing West African Senior School Certificate Examination without disruptions. The ongoing WAEC commenced on April 30th and will end June 24, 2024. We now go for a very quick break. When we return from the break, the news continues. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. And still in the news, protesting workers under the aegis of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have shut down government buildings at the Federal Secretariat in response to the ongoing industrial action against minimum wage. Our correspondent Edikan Michael observed that the areas were deserted as workers decided to stay back at home.
Solidarity forever! Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Despite earlier pleas from the federal government for consideration, organized labor has withdrawn their services in a nationwide strike to push for a new national minimum wage for workers.
The government have to respond to the call of the workers, because I'm a Christian. The Bible confirmed that even the animal you use to produce your crop, you have to feed it well. The workers are those who produce or who make productivity in an economy and in the country, and the workers must be taken care of.
It's not fair at all, because even this money that they say they are paying us cannot feed our dogs. When you go to collect food for dogs, you pay exorbitantly for dogs. My salary cannot even feed a dog in their own house.
We are tired of this nonsense and the jamboree going on there. We are really tired. So now we want the government to dance to our music, to come to our aids, because people are dying.
There's no justification for that 60,000. It's an insult. It's an insult to us to say 60,000 will be a minimum wage.
Benson Okpa, head of Information and Public Affairs NLC, said they decided to take the decision following the failure of the Tinubu-led federal government to dialogue and engage stakeholders within the organized labor to resolve the minimum wage.
He did his best, but quite unfortunately, his best was not deep enough. He put literally nothing on the table. He simply asked us to go back, suspend the intending strike action, give them 8 weeks to plead with the president to see whether he will be able to add 1 or 2 naira to the 60,000 it has already offered.
A member of the monitoring committee insists that the 60,000 figure is unsatisfactory by labor representative.
Offering us 60,000 naira is something that we see as highly insensitive, highly unreasonable with respect to the current high cost of living in the country.
With today's strike by NLC and TUC, the labor centers their pressure to the government into offering a higher minimum wage. Both congresses are insisting on the 494,000, which they consider adequate to reflect the current rising cost of living. From Federal Secretariat, Abuja, Edikan Michael reporting for Global TV News.
As we turn to other stories, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB has announced the release of 3,921 outstanding 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination results. In a statement by its spokesperson Fabian Benjamin, the board also announced a rescheduled examination for 24,535 candidates after it analyzed the process and conduct of a previous examination in some centers where there were proofs of substantial non-compliance with its standards. The rescheduled candidates are to print their supplementary examination notification slip from Tuesday, the 4th of June 2024, to ascertain their designated examination centers. You're watching News Express coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times Channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. When News Express returns, Claudia Sheinbaum elected as Mexico's first female president. These and other stories coming right after this break. To stay with us. Welcome back. This is Global Television, bringing you live broadcast of News Express. Thank you for staying with us. On the foreign scene, Claudia Sheinbaum has been elected as Mexico's first woman president in an historic landslide win. Mexico's official electoral authority said preliminary results show that the 61-year-old former mayor of Mexico City winning between 58% and 60% of the vote. That gives her a lead of about 30% points over her main rival, businesswoman Xochitl Gálvez. On business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has revoked the banking license of Heritage Bank PLC, effective immediately. The regulatory bank noted that the decision was made due to the bank's failure to improve its financial performance, which it says posing a threat to financial stability. The Apex Bank's acting director of Corporate Communications Department, Sidi Ali, said the bank's management has been unable to stem the decline, despite various adversary steps taken by the regulator. The federal government has revealed that there are ongoing plans to establish 6 mineral centers in the 6 geopolitical zones to boost the mining sector. Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, said the plan was part of President Bola Tinubu's administration's commitment to diversify the country's economy by developing key sectors such as the solid minerals industry. According to the minister, the centers are also part of the government's commitment to promoting value addition to its minerals, aimed at facilitating multiplier effects on the economy. Collapse Prevention Guide Ikoyi Obalende chapter has called on President Bola Tinubu to intervene in the deteriorating state of some national monuments and federal government property within the Ikoyi area of Lagos State. The Ikoyi area of Lagos State has recently witnessed a trend of building collapse, adding that it was a reality in its history marked by strict adherence to construction regulations. The Guild has therefore called for revitalization efforts to safeguard the historic landmarks and mitigate the negative impact on Ikoyi residents and stakeholders. And sliding into the exciting world of sport, ahead of their crucial 2026 World Cup qualifiers against South Africa and Benin Republic, the Super Eagles have held their first full training session in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital, as more invited players arrived in the camp for the outing. The Super Eagles are scheduled to host the Bafana of South Africa at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo on June 7th before traveling to Côte d'Ivoire, where they face the Squirrels of Benin Republic 3 days later. In preparation for the games, head coach Finidi George invited 23 Super Eagles stars, with the return of Maduka Okoye headlining the list of invited players. Former Chelsea and Manchester United boss Jose Mourinho has been unveiled as the new manager of Turkish Super League team Fenerbahce, following days of strong indications that Mourinho was to take charge. The Istanbul club said in a post on X that the Portuguese manager was to attend a ceremony at the Sukru Saroku ground. Arsenal have announced that 22 players will leave the club at the end of their contract this summer. The Premier League club confirmed this in a statement on its website. Some of the notable names on the list include the Women's Super League WSL all-time top scorer Viviane Miedema, who is speculated to join Manchester City as a free agent, Mohamed Elneny, who has been with the club since 2016 and made 161 appearances as a gunner, and a wing-back Cedric Soares. In addition, the club also announced that 3 players with the likes of Mario Duberry, Carl Hing and Russell Waters contracts with the club have run down and are still in negotiation with the Gunners. As we end the Global TV News Express, here are the headlines. Academic Staff Union of Universities has joined NLC and TUC nationwide strike as industrial action heats up. Attorney General of the Federation has condemned the nationwide strike called by the organized labor as strike takes toll on essential services across the country. On the foreign scene, Mexico has elected Claudia Sheinbaum as first woman president. And in sport, we told you Nigeria's Super Eagles have begun training in New York towards their World Cup qualifiers bid. That's it on News Express, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times Channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Anthony Momodu. Thank you for watching, and see you again.